Hello and welcome to the Jerry Hicks Show, exclusively on the Censored Freedom Network. Now, the man that thought MAGA extremism was a new part of the X Games, your host, Jerry Hicks.
Thank you so much, Dave, and thank you everybody for being here tonight. I am Jerry Hicks. It is Friday, March the 7th, 2025, and we've got a good show to put together for you guys tonight. We have a lot of stories about Doge. We've got stories about FEMA. We've got stories about Trump. We've got stories about all kind of insanity, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you stick around to see what kind of craziness is going on in this world. You may be stories you haven't heard yet. You never know. But before we hop into that, ladies and gentlemen, I like to welcome everybody here to the show and really appreciate you guys listening no matter what platform you are on, whether it be BitChute, Rumble, X, or YouTube. You guys are absolutely awesome. Do make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, hit that follow, whatever it may be on whatever platform you may be coming from. With that said, folks, let's hop on over into our newsroom. We have the Doge report to start off with. We have one update on our Doge report today, so very, very short. It says, canceled $600,000 grant to study menstrual cycles in transgender men. I'm going to let that one sink in for a second. Menstrual cycles in transgendered men. Are these women to men? Are these men to women? I don't even understand the sentence here, right? So we have saved another $600,000 by not having that grant out there, folks. Good news, huge win. Federal judge declines to block Doge from access to Treasury systems. Well, I say a huge win. We'll find out at the end it's not as huge as we may think that it was. And it'll lead us into our next story, interestingly enough. A federal judge on Friday refused to block Doge workers from accessing the Treasury system. She says the plaintiff's concerns are understandable. And let me go back here. The plaintiff's concerns is that the sensitive information is going to be shared publicly. Ladies and gentlemen, the only information that has been shared publicly from Doge at all has been the canceled contracts and the money that has been saved. I don't know anybody's name that's been receiving these funds thus yet. I've heard some rumors, but I haven't seen any evidence as of right now. I'd really like to know how much money Maxine Waters is getting out of this, because she is really, really upset at Elon for some reason, right? But let's not get too far off topic. This judge says plaintiff's concerns are understandable and no doubt widely shared. However, on the present record, plaintiffs have not cleared the high standard of showing a likelihood of an irreparable injury that is beyond remediation, which is a prerequisite to the issuance of a preliminary injunction in this circuit. In other words, they did not meet the required level of evidence to support their claims. Merely asserting the Treasury Doge team's operations increased the risk of a catastrophic data breach or public disclosure of sensitive information is not sufficient to support a preliminary injunction. Again, merely asserting this, just saying, hey, this is bad, this is what they're going to do, without any evidence, is not going to hold up. This is not the corrupted courts they thought they had, I guess. The judge said she is open to blocking Doge if they can show evidence of their claim in the future, which they're never going to be able to do, right? However, Judge Collard-Cottley's ruling, which she was I want to say a Clinton judge. Yes, a Clinton appointee judge. Actually has little impact because of a separate ruling from a judge in New York that granted an injunction blocking Doge from Treasury systems. Now, like I said, that leads us right into our next story. That is not by accident, especially the fact that it's in New York. Why? Because let's try that again. Because it has been revealed that there is a secret resistance, an agreement between blue states, left-wing groups, and New York City law firms to conduct coordinated lawfare against Doge and Elon Musk, just like they were doing with President Trump. They're going to do everything they can to come at this guy and stop him from every angle they can try. Doge says it has saved approximately $105 billion in a combination of asset sale, contracts, lease cancellations, and renegotiations, fraud and improper payment detection, grant cancellations, and interest savings. However, the Democrats are angry. They are absolutely pissed that this country is going to have a chance to actually thrive and survive. That should tell you a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Why would they be mad about this unless their own pockets are being robbed of money that they've been robbing you of? That's why they're upset. They're no longer going to get the kickbacks that they were stealing from you, the taxpayer. Regardless of your political leaning, that doesn't matter. They're stealing your money either way. Right? There are currently a dozen lawsuits challenging Doge over its authority, data access, and privacy rules. The agreement obtained by the Oversight Project was signed less than a month after Doge was created. Now, the parties it's going to refer to once again are blue states, left-wing groups, and New York City law firms. The parties have agreed they have a common interest in developing legal strategies to challenge the creation and actions of Doge, and a common interest in existing or future investigation, regulatory, administrative, and judicial actions or inactions, including but not limited to any administrative or judicial proceedings related to or arising from these legal strategies. I know, that's a whole bunch of jumbled mess words, and they do that on purpose. In other words, they're going to do everything they can to use the courts and the law system to slow down and hurt Elon and Doge at every turn. The agreement revealed plans between New Mexico, California, Michigan, Massachusetts, and other blue states to develop legal strategies to wage war on Doge. What other blue states, you may ask? Oh, and the actions of Elon Musk. It goes on to say this common interest agreement is made and enter into and between the states of New Mexico, Arizona, Michigan, California, no surprise, Connecticut, Hawaii, no surprise, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Nevada, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Washington, and State Democracy Defenders Fund, which sounds like a left-wing group to me, probably a Soros group. The parties have agreed they have a common interest in developing legal strategies to challenge the creation and actions of Doge. Right? So, they're going to do every single thing they can to stand in the way of the American taxpayer getting what they deserve back, getting to know where their money is going, right? Apparently, my screen is off by just a hair here, and I just realized that. So there we go. We got that fixed up here. Let's move that over just a little bit more. There we go. That looks a little better. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, back to the story. None of this is by accident. This is how much the Democrats hate this country and hate you. They want to suck every penny they can out of this country and bleed us dry. Steal every penny away from the American taxpayer. And while we're out here barely able to afford rent, groceries, right? Energy, gas. I know that's the same thing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what the Democrats want. This is what the Democrats are fighting for. This is what these blue states and left-wing groups are fighting for, is to screw the American taxpayer as much as possible, to hide the screwing that the American taxpayer gets. They don't believe that you should know where your own tax dollars go. They've said as much, right? So keep this in mind every time you hear a new sudden lawsuit against Doge. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try to pull out some kind of women out of a closet that are going to claim some kind of, SA from Elon. Right? Is that not their go-to thing? Try to make him look like a morally incorrupt person? The most morally incorrupt people in the world, they should know how to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Burchett had a Doge meeting today, and he was nice enough to share some thoughts of this meeting outside afterwards.
We wanted to ask you about Elon.
And this reporter, I gotta say, actually asked some pretty decent questions, all in all.
Musk's message in there. What did he talk to you guys about? What was sort of the main message?
Well, we talked about specifics of areas, and I don't want to discuss the specific parts of it, but it's very encouraging of the things that he's disclosing and where he's headed with this, because they haven't even really cracked the nut. I mean, you've got education in the Pentagon that are out there, and you know what time this thing started?
Was there any sort of conversation or pushback, from folks who are
Oh yeah, they're going to push back because you've got congressmen on both sides of the aisle that if they follow that paper trail, it's going to come back to them. You got their wife and or girlfriend that works for some agency, quasi-agency or some business, and I'll probably get primary for saying that, but that's the truth, and we all know it. And
not if I got anything to do with it as a Tennessean, Tim. I got your back. I'm not in your district, but I still got your back.
It's crooked as a dog's leg. Somebody's going to straighten it out. Looks like it's going to be Elon Musk.
Did he give you guys his phone number like he did for the senators?
You like to ask Marjorie about that.
And what about using the rescission?
I tell you, dude, you're going to say, hey, will you call Elon? And I'm saying, no, I'm going to
I'm not going to ask you to call Elon. Did he give you the number?
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, did he?
No, I'm going on to your question.
What do you think about using the rescission package process, rescissions to codify some of this?
I think that's a avenue to take. I would like to do every dadgum one on there, but we don't have the guts to do it. So
You think it'll really happen?
I think it will eventually. I think America's going to demand it after that show the Democrats put on last night.
And so how do you get in touch with Mr. Musk if lawmakers do have any concerns?
I said most of the questions, not all of them. Some were kind of goofy, like this one.
Call him on the phone. Send up the bat signal.
Did he say anything to
Send up the bat signal, he said.
like the concerns needs to slow down,
Elon signal.
a little bit more of a cautious
No, I mean, I encouraged him to go as fast as possible because we're going to lose our guts. 100, 150 days. This bunch is going to... Oh, man, that's cutting into my...
Anything about the recent VA cuts come up?
No, other than we primarily discussed, we broke down some of the aspects of the people that are 100, 150 years old that are, and people overseas that are out of the country that are drawing a check and how much that is and just how substantial that is.
But the 80,000
That is huge in and of itself. Money that, again, had no business going out of this country, or to people that are clearly not any longer with us. Unless you know a 150-year-old. I mean, maybe the vampires are here still. I ain't met one yet.
made known today.
Well, they're gonna, but I believe that they'll equal those out with the waste, abuse, and fraud. And people start going back to work, I think that's going to take care of some of that. And the ones that choose not to, that'll come off that side of the ledger.
Thank you. Any talking about
Is that
codifying?
you, Dave? You're doing something different.
I've curled my hair. Thank you.
I got your...
Anyway, that's the main part I wanted you guys to hear. He's out here talking about Elon Musk and the meeting they had, which I think is awesome. Transparency is something that is so very overdue in our system. So I think that's excellent. If you want to see the whole or play the whole thing, I do believe that it's available, yes, over on YouTube. At the Forbes breaking news site, it looks like, is where this particular clip is. So if you want to hear the whole clip and everything he had to say, do go check it out. I am kind of fond of Mr. Burchett, as once again, I am a Tennessean myself. Another fellow Southerner that has a very interesting way with words, ladies and gentlemen. I love Senator Kennedy because when he speaks, he says things that are spot on, but in a way that nobody else is going to say it. Check this out.
Most of the publicity has been on the spending cuts. And look, I'm all for them. I think Elon Musk is a rock star. The tofu crowd is mad. But, you know, when you trim fat, pigs squeal. That's just the way the world works. That's the law of nature.
When you trim fat, pigs squeal. I mean, again, he's spot on. He's not wrong. But just the same, it's an interesting way to put it. It's a very Southern way to put it. I love Senator Ken. He has a way with words for sure. And he goes on to explain, Senator Kennedy told Fox Larry's Ludlow he had been trying to push a bill through to cut off any possible money paid out to dead people. It's not ending Social Security, Ludlow ranted about anyone who would find this objectionable. It's ending the fraud in Social Security. And I actually had that conversation today with an Uber driver, believe it or not. We were discussing the Social Security and how it's going to be cut off, if you will. And I said, no, they're not cutting Social Security. As explained here, they're cutting people off that are frauding the system that are 150, 200, 250 years old and more. And I asked the driver, I said, I don't know about you, but I've not met anybody over 150 years old or up to 150. He said, no, you're right there. And as I pointed out a number of times on this show, that would actually be a Guinness World Record. It's recorded as 122, the oldest recorded human in the Guinness Book of World Records. So 150, I promise you, is not collecting a legit Social Security check. Somebody's getting that money. But who? That's the question I want to know. That's the question that's just eating me away. I know these contracts are for different companies and things like that, but I want to know what senators, what House members, what bureaucrats are getting these kickbacks, these fraudulent, wasteful kickbacks, and stealing our money. Is it Elizabeth Warren? Is it Maxine Waters? I don't know. I believe that it's all of the above in every Democrat and half the Republicans. Maybe more than that. But I don't have proof to state that that's a fact. That's a belief, and I want to be very clear about that. I think we all know it. With that said, folks, Trump DOJ fires pardon attorney who was responsible for advising Biden on granting mass clemency to convicts, including violent murderers. So if you're giving this kind of advice, you don't need to have a job. She wrote on LinkedIn, it looks like, I'm sad to share that I was fired today from the job I have poured my heart and soul into for the last 3 years. I am so proud of the team we built in the office of the pardon attorney who will carry out our important work. Yeah, your work has not been important to the American people, nor has it been beneficial to the American people. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a firing that I 100% back. Something tells me she'll have a article filed in court by the end of the day, and we'll be hearing this story on Monday about how she's suing for her job back. How much you want to bet? Who wants to put money on it? I'll put money on it. I'd bet everything I got, which is about 3 cents. I didn't say I was rich. FEMA fires 3 supervisors following investigation into officials' order to skip homes with Trump signs that needed hurricane relief. So accountability, ladies and gentlemen, accountability. And this looks like it's actually happening, at least to some degree. FEMA has fired 3 supervisors following an investigation into the North Carolina. That was North Carolina, right? Yes, North Carolina. Florida. Skip homes in Florida with Trump signs in the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. I was thinking it was in the destruction zone over in North Carolina. My apologies. FEMA has fired 3 more supervisors following an internal probe that claims a crew of disaster relief workers were told to avoid Trump-supporting homes hit by the hurricane. Cameron Hamilton, the current acting administrator of the agency, announced in a Tuesday letter to Senator Marsha Blackburn, another one from my Tennessee state, that's right, Tennessee all through the news today, that an exhaustive investigation has concluded that supervisors failed to meet standards of conduct or rein in their partisan underlying behavior. These people cared more about politics than their fellow American citizen. That's how evil these people have become, whether it's in the actual representation and even clearly in these lower, especially in the lower bureaucratic levels. Who am I kidding? That's where most of the issue is. And they care so little about your fellow American citizen that you'd rather see them suffer or even not be around anymore because of a political leaning? You've got to be kidding me. That's not human. That's inhumane. That's psychopathic. People like that need to be locked up and the key thrown away. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's too harsh. Maybe it's not harsh enough. I'm not sure. On a side note, Senator Marsha Blackburn has been one that's been pushing very, very hard for the release of all of the Epstein information. So there you go. President Trump spanks NBC reporter. This is actually hilarious. I'm just going to let you guys listen.
Clashes potentially between Secretary Rubio and Secretary.
No clash.
Okay, so the report earlier made up by the fake mocking stream media earlier said that there was a clash between Marco Rubio and Elon Musk. This was the story that went around in some kind of meeting earlier. There was this big clash, probably the same meeting Tim Burchett was in that, didn't mention any clash. Just saying. So they tried to spread this story again, trying to make it look like there's problems within the party when there's absolutely none at all, or within the cabinet, right? Like there's infighting. That's what they want you to believe because, well, they're scum. But let's hear what Trump had to say.
I was there. You're just a troublemaker. And you're not supposed to be asking that question because we're talking about the World Cup. Elon gets along great with Marco, and they're both doing a fantastic job. There is no clash.
Mr. President, bottom line.
Who are you with? Who are you with?
NBC.
Oh, no wonder. That's enough.
Who
NBC.
has more authority, Elon Musk or the cabinet secretary?
Any other questions?
You notice for a half second, it looks like he thought about answering that guy's last question, then he carried on.
About the World Cup?
So, again, they're trying to do these gotcha moments, the fake-ass, lame-ass hashtag mocking stream media, doing everything they can to paint a picture of something that does not exist, to get people talking about something that isn't even real. And this is a well-known page out of their playbook, as a matter of fact. We know that it was found out that one of the Project Veritas guys, I had to think about that for a minute, make sure I had the right one. The Project Veritas guys got a guy on camera who said that what they're going to do is just run RFK Jr. in circles chasing things that aren't actually happening, right? This is right out of their playbook. The problem is we know their playbook. And the American people are learning their playbook, especially like Jasmine Crockett, whose playbook includes one play and one play only, and that is race baiting, ladies and gentlemen. This lady is going to say any and everything she can, and she gets more and more crazy every time she opens her mouth to try to fearmonger and use scare tactics to get you to believe whatever she wants you to believe, because that's all the Democrats have left. They have to find some type of scare tactic. And the people they're pandering to right now, ladies and gentlemen, well, I don't think it's my place to speak, but with that said, it's actually pretty low down and despicable what they're trying to do. Just that's my opinion. I'll let you guys listen and make your own decision.
And as they have decided to go out like that, and they've said, oh, they've taken...
Hold on. I see that the volume is very much low, so let's see if we can fix that.
They have decided to go after immigrants and these and things like that, and they've said, oh, they've taken your black jobs. They've taken your black jobs. Not really. They are obviously jobs that they want us to go back to, such as work in the fields, all right? Those immigrants that come into our country, they work the fields, something that we ain't done in a long time.
That sounds kind of racist. I don't know about you guys. Maybe just me.
And clearly, he is trying to make us go back to the fields.
So, yeah, she's trying to scare a portion of the population into believing that they're going to be sent back to the fields, and he's trying to take America back to the days of segregation. She's lost her damn mind. Was she not watching the same thing we were watching the other night? Did she not see what we saw the other night? This is a race baiter. This is a person that hates this country, thinks you're stupid enough to believe what she has to say, And this is one of those same people that refused to clap for that little boy the other night, that refused to show any kind of emotion for her fellow Americans, but now she wants you to believe she actually cares. Now that she's got a spotlight and a platform and able to run her mouth, now you're supposed to believe she gives a damn about another person. Because she didn't give a damn about any American that was at that event at the State of the Union. Right? These Democrats have lost any moral high ground whatsoever. This is propaganda, #mocking stream media. Ladies and gentlemen, Maxine Waters has become an election denier. That's right. Not that that's any surprise to anyone. I was wondering how long it was going to take before somebody made this absurd claim. Turns out it was only
turned it over to him. And we don't know everything that Elon Musk has done with his high technology ass. We don't know what he's being accused of by some as it may relate to the election. But we're not going to give up in investigating and finding.
Clearly, one of the people that's leading this secret charge that was supposed to be secret charge against Elon Musk and the lawfare, right? Remember, she's the same one that said, we don't know what he has on us. She's scared to death, ladies and gentlemen. Elon Musk is going to run across something that is going to destroy her world. She's been stealing a lot of money from what it looks like to me. That's my opinion. I'm sure that's going to come out pretty soon. But why else would she fight so hard against Elon? It's not even Trump she's really fighting against. She's trying to point out and say Elon hacked the election, right? She's been talking every kind of madness against this man since he began heading the Doge department, going in and taking care of stuff, finding these fraudulent contracts, these wasteful monies. We know what Doge does. I don't have to keep repeating it. You guys aren't dumb. If you're listening to this show, you're clearly very smart, right? But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Maxine Waters is about to lose her mind. There is a update on the Hackman incident. It really strange one at that. So bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. This is a little odd. So the bodies were found mummified in their compound with pills scattered throughout the bathroom. The couple's dog was found dead at the scene. And it turns out his wife, Arakawa's cause of death was hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, a deadly disease spread by rodent droppings. It generally occurs in spring and summer in areas where people are near mouse droppings in homes. So it was a disease that she had picked up, or a syndrome she'd picked up from rodent droppings. There we go. It was discovered in 1993, and that's when it infected 52 patients, 32 ended up dying. During the press conference, officials also revealed that Arakawa's body was in the house for a week while Hackman was still alive. She passed on February 11th, while Hackman passed on February 17th. Now, here's the kicker. I know a lot of you are wondering, how could that even happen? And here's what ties it all together, the strangest part of the whole story. Officials speculate that Hackman may not known his wife was passed due to having Alzheimer's. So even if he had been aware at any point of his wife's passing, if he walked out of the room and forgot, right? The dog's cause of death has not been released at this point. Maybe the dog found the pills on the floor. That's my guess. The dog ate some of the pills that were on the floor that were dropped when she passed out, or dropped by Hackman, one of the two, because he does have Alzheimer's. That's where my money is. The dog passed away from a lethal dose of whatever that pill was. Let's see how right we are. That's my guess. Ladies and gentlemen, the Putin puppet, Trump, quote unquote, I use that loosely. Don't quit throwing eggs and tomatoes, damn it. Trump warns Russia, back off and stop bombing. Russia offers pause. So apparently it was decided by Putin the other day that it would be a good idea to bomb a little bit in Ukraine as things on the world stage looked kind of rough for Mr. Zelensky. And this was most likely a way, for Putin in anyway, to push Zelensky more towards the negotiating table. However, this did not work out for Russia the way that they thought it was going to work out. President Trump posted on his Truth Social, based on the fact that Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine on the battlefield right now, I am strongly considering large-scale banking sanctions, and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire and final settlement agreement on peace is reached. That last part in caps. To Russia and Ukraine, get to the table right now before it's too late. Thank you. So upon hearing this, Putin decided he didn't need even more sanctions from the United States and that he would pause his initiative for the moment. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The Putin puppet, not so much a puppet after all. And our last story of the night, folks. Trump invites public comment on artificial intelligence executive orders. So I love this. Whether you believe your voice actually matters or not, at least you can give it a try and see. He is actually asking for public comment on his idea of removing barriers to American leadership in artificial intelligence executive order that he signed on January 23rd. This revokes certain existing AI policies and directives that act as barriers to American AI innovation. But they want to hear from you. This comes to us from the Populist Times. They've got a article over here with the link. The link is right down here in the bottom. We've actually went over here. It's at the Federal Register, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to go directly to the site, it is the federalregister.com. I'm sure from that point you could probably search it out. Request for information on the development of artificial intelligence AI action plan. And it says the document has a comment period that ends at 8 days. So you can write your comment right here on the screen. Let's see. Submit a public document. There we go. Thank you for taking the time to create a comment. Your input is important, so you can put your comment, whatever it may